The moon is made of rock. Boring, gray, volcanic rock. But let's call them a person with access to a very large dairy farm, decided to fix that. What if the moon were made of cheese? Specifically, cheddar, aged. Because if you're going to replace a celestial body, you go with a classic. First, let's appreciate the scale of the problem. The moon has a mass of about 7.3 times 10 to the 22nd kilograms. That's 73 billion trillion kilograms of cheese. For reference, the entire global cheese production in 2023 was about 22 million tons. To build the cheese moon, you'd need the world's current cheese output for the next 3 trillion years. The universe is only 14 billion years old, so we're slightly behind schedule. Now, does a cheese moon behave like a regular moon? Mostly, yes. The moon's gravity comes from its mass, not its composition. As long as the cheese moon has the same mass, Earth's tides still work. The nights are still lit. Werewolves still have opinions about it. One difference, the albedo. The moon currently reflects about 12% of sunlight, roughly the same as worn asphalt. Cheddar is considerably more orange and shinier. Nights on Earth would look like everything is being lit by a giant wheel of slowly rotating Velveeta. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. We want to set it on fire. Cheese can burn. Its ignition temperature is roughly 400 to 600 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 to 315 degrees Celsius. The fats in cheese are hydrocarbons, same basic chemistry as oil or wood. Given enough heat and an oxidizer, cheese will combust. Emphasis on oxidizer. Fire requires 3 things: fuel, heat, and an oxidizer, usually oxygen. The moon has no atmosphere, 0 oxygen. The vacuum of space is technically the worst environment in the universe for starting a campfire. Your giant cheese surface? Completely non-flammable. Not because of anything special about cheese, but because combustion is physically impossible without an oxidizer. You have a lot of cheese and absolutely nothing to burn it with. This is the lunar equivalent of buying a gorgeous grill, getting all the steaks ready, and realizing you're in space. But scientists are nothing if not stubborn. And also, this is hypothetical. What if we brought our own oxygen? Say, we somehow wrap the cheese moon in an Earth-like atmosphere. 21% oxygen, the works. Now things get interesting. The surface layer of cheese ignites. Cheese burns at a few hundred degrees Celsius. The fat liquefies, the proteins char, and you get a wall of fire rolling across a moon-sized ball of cheddar. The combustion releases carbon dioxide, water vapor, and a tremendous amount of heat, plus what scientists would technically classify as the worst smell in the solar system. Here's where the physics gets brutal. Burning the entire cheese moon releases a colossal amount of energy. The moon's surface area is 38 million square kilometers, roughly the size of Russia, the United States, and Canada combined. That's a lot of cheese fire. The radiated heat from a moon-sized fire at 384,000 kilometers away would be significant. Earth's surface would warm, oceans would start to heat, atmosphere would destabilize. Basically, you've turned the moon into a space heater the size of the moon, which, when you say it like that, sounds like a bad idea. Meanwhile, back on the cheese moon, cheese has no structural integrity at combustion temperatures. As the outer layers burn, the cheese beneath melts. You now have a molten cheese core surrounded by a burning crust. The moon's gravity can hold itself together at room temperature, but pour enough energy in and things start to get gooey. Chunks of molten cheese begin to fly off into orbit. Some of it rains toward Earth. Cheese meteors. That's a sentence we just said. Eventually, the fire burns out. Either the cheese runs out or the oxygen does. What's left? Carbon-rich, blackened sphere of ash and solidified dairy fat, roughly the size of the moon, slowly orbiting Earth. The moon, our beautiful, tide-controlling, romance-inspiring moon, is now a giant ball of burnt cheese rind. Tides are still fine, technically. The nights are darker, and Earth smells faintly of fondue for the next several geological epochs. So, what happens if the moon is made of cheese and we light it on fire? 1. You can't, because space has no oxygen. 2. If you cheat and add oxygen, you get a planet-scale cheese fire that heats the Earth and rains molten dairy across the sky. 3. You're left with a dead, ash-covered orbiting cinder where the moon used to be. And 4. The entire project requires more cheese than humanity could produce in 3 trillion years, which means the hardest part of this plan isn't the fire. It's the dairy logistics.